Thank you so much for staying with us here on Breakfast Central, here on News Central. Let's start off with a rather very sad story that fans in their hundreds gathered at the Okeletu bus stop, most importantly in Ikorodu, to demand justice for late singer, the one known as Ilerioluwa Oladimeji Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad. The singer died on September 12 at the age of 27, and his death has continued to generate controversy, following which the Lagos State Police Command has set up a 19-man special investigation team to actually investigate the incident.
Those fans of the late singer Mohbad and other Nigerians are doing their best to ensure that he gets the justice that he deserves. We've also seen that some fans in Abeokuta, Ogun State, have kick-started a peaceful protest. Many youths dressed in black outfits and carrying placards took over major roads in the state. The late singer's management had earlier announced and shared details of his candlelight procession and tribute concert scheduled for Thursday, September 21st in Lagos, Nigeria. And what we're seeing is there's been a movement since Mohbad died, unfortunately. The updates that we have is that his body has been exhumed for an autopsy report to be carried on, especially as to why did that looks very interesting. So there's an autopsy report that will be handled, that will be conducted on his body to find out why he was buried hastily, what exactly happened. There are a number of people that have questions to be answered. On the other hand, those who allegedly made his life a living hell, the Malian records have been, they've felt the fire in several ways. One with Naira Marley's followers dropping drastically on Instagram. Last time I checked, it was 6.9 million. From 7.4 million, meaning a whooping 400,000 Nigerians have unfollowed him on Instagram. A number of his songs have been banned as well. Some stations have declared his songs, the Malian songs, not to be broadcast. So we've seen concerts and parties where when the song would come up, people would react. It seems like what is happening is there's been a suppression. People have been angry for the longest time, because what we're seeing as well is that this is a situation that's been replicated in many record labels, but people didn't have the nerve to speak, because when you're a quote-unquote small fish, there's only so much you can say against your quote-unquote benefactor. So what Mohbad has been able to do with his death is shine the light on the ills going on in the entertainment industry, the culture of quote-unquote, would I call it godfatherism, the gang life that happens. Gangsterism that is happening in the entertainment industry, the bullying, the harassment. So these are some of the things that the government needs to be looked into. I wonder, however, if it didn't generate as much noise as it did, will they have, in good faith, will they have been able to do the investigations that they're now doing?
So for me, there's power in words, Olive. Yeah. We do recall that in one of Mohbad's lyrics, he had said that when he's gone, that a lot of people will remember him and they will talk about him. And that's exactly what we're seeing. I want to say this, that possibly the culprits never expected that it would get up to this point.
No,
thought it was
I don't
just
think
going
they
to
ever
be
imagined.
one thing that, oh, let's keep bullying him until if he's gone, don't worry, life goes on. But Nigerians are coming from the back hill of a judicial system that has actually been talked about seriously. And since Nigerians have kept their eyes on the PEPC, they've also kept their eyes on the recent elections, carrying out from what happened, what transpired. So Nigerians are indeed looking for answers and justice. And this came at the time where everybody was looking for something, like a much more like a sacrilege.
Yes, that says, okay,
to hold on
this
to.
is working well for us.
Like, we're not going to allow this happen.
And the unfortunate thing
if
is,
we're suffering from the political aspect, you cannot bring it here.
Yeah, it's almost like if politicians are oppressing us, we shouldn't be oppressing ourselves. You can't even try to say that, oh, if we're not getting judgment from, if we're not getting maybe a desired result or outcome from the judiciary or from the legislature or the executive, we as citizens should not be the ones that are oppressing ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. And besides that, I beg to say this as well. I mean, personally, I've been privileged to work with in that industry, especially when we talk about entertainment as well. And I do know there are usually rifts. There's a rift between the artist and the record label. I mean, I was also part of the question mark era way back where Asha had an issue with a record label boss, Kevin Luciano then, which was known as question mark, where you had Cobams, you had Mode 9 and the likes. It didn't lead to violence. It's usually a case of You signed a 5-year contract to give us 5 albums. You must fulfill the 5. There's always a compromise. Either one compromises this, or you compromise your catalog. Even the biggest musician in the world, Michael Jackson, had a problem with his record label, and he had to fulfill, and then there was a rift in between. They had to sign, and then you must forego certain things. It never deteriorates to violence, except in hip-hop, rap music, in terms of rap culture. But Nigerians are still shocked that I think it's all about the fact that the bullying became so bad that the young individual could not even have a life of his own.
And at some point, even we heard that there was a time that he considered suicide. Spoke to his friend about considering suicide, or that they even walked in on him attempted. I mean, there are several stories that have been floating on the internet. Just when you think, oh, I'm feeling a little better today, you open social media and you see an update video, and it's just like,
or something.
What was going on under our nostrils that we didn't even see all of this happening? Whilst it's a sad and painful death, I'm truly happy that his death will not be in vain. I'm hoping that his death will not be in vain, because it has, like his name, Imole, it has brought light to something that was an otherwise dark situation. It illuminated, it helped us see the ills and the wrongs in the society, and I'm hoping that, we can start to do better. Also, another thing would be the quality of artists that we're having, and the quality of music that is being put out. The people who we are having as celebrities and maybe quote-unquote role models for this generation, it's a bit concerning, right? I'm hoping that with all of this, we will start to reevaluate our moral compass and start to think about the people we throw our alliances behind. I mean,
that's another discussion in between, I must say. I mean, it's something to have a quick review on. But the good news is the Lagos State governor has indeed jumped on the situation. We did see his deputy governor visit Mohbad's, the late artist's mother. That was yesterday, alongside the representatives from different quarters of the government, who also paid a condolence visit to the mother. They also made it an affirmative indication or statement that they would follow this thoroughly to the end. And that's exactly what we're starting to see. However, someone also highlighted that this is kind of like a reminiscent of the NSAS movement, where, usually when something happens like this, you only see a state drive the conversation, possibly pocket-size gathering of individuals. Yes. But this one, we're seeing the youths. It's almost like everybody. I mean, you don't go through your timeline and scroll past like 4 or 5 posts without seeing, everybody dropping in their opinions. Going on social media, people saying this, people putting on their ring lights and saying, no, it can't happen. And this is indeed a clear indication for me that we need to do better. We need to do better. Regardless of who we are, bullying is not acceptable.
No, it's not.
And if you're engaged in business, it's not working, I mean, there's a gentleman's decision, a gentleman's handshake, and just get the deal done.
And now, unfortunately, this is like giving advice to, looking back in retrospect, to upcoming artists to ensure that you do your due diligence. We know that there's a certain excitement and desire to want to be signed by a record label, which is great, but do your due diligence when choosing a record label to work with. Also ensure that you have a lawyer review your contract, because part of the rift that Joe has just spoken about is the fact that a number of them signed contracts along the line, realize they signed a wrong contract, a contract that doesn't benefit them. And they then want to upturn things, but by then it's a little too late. So please ensure that you always get a lawyer. I mean, they were trained for this reason. Always get a lawyer to review your contract.
We have one of them sitting next to me here. So.
Yeah, I don't usually remember that. Right now, I'm a journalist.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, we had to take a look at that story. It's one of the biggest stories out of Nigeria. Everyone is talking about it, and it will be one of the biggest, I'll put it to service for us here on Breakfast Central, especially starting off a Wednesday morning without looking at the intricacies of that story. Well, later on, our entertainment team will join us as we hear that some of the artists under that record label have been visited. Some have spoken out loud, while others have changed their bios. We'll talk about
Oh yes,
that.
but that's very
We'll talk
important.
about
Now
that.
it's showing you that everyone understands the power of alliance. So now they're just like, please, I'm not a
And it
Mali.
reminds me of what Africa is missing. If Africa could be aligned as this, staying together, building a front, I don't think the Western world will be able to penetrate and try to do what they're doing, because there's power in unity, like they say, right?
Yes, there is indeed. So yes, once again, we say justice for Mohbad. We'll keep following up, bringing you more updates as we hear what the investigations are saying. So far, the body has been exhumed, according to what we've heard. And we look forward to hearing what the autopsy results will reveal, and then those who will be brought in for questioning as well. This is still Breakfast Central. If you'd like to react to any of the topics we've discussed so far, please head to Twitter or social media platforms, X at News Central TV. I'm still not used to calling it X.
Like they say, X,
Formerly known
Twitter,
as Twitter.
formerly known as Twitter.